Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. So the other day I made the video about the Safeway incident, and I connected the various Safeway incidents for you. It was a very important video. Today I was in Safeway, and keep in mind, I don't think that these people know what they were doing. Maybe their brains were hacked or they were told to do it. I don't think they know what it means. But I was in Safeway, and there was this little thing that you squeeze for checkout service. It looks like a penis, and it's pink, which is the color of the LGBT community. And pink is often associated with Easter and bunnies and so on and so forth. As is chocolate, right? Because Easter is a day about rape by deception, right? EA star, EA stir, right? Stirring, in terms of control and reproduction, a witch stirring her kettle, what have you. And it also connects to Ishtar and a lot of other things as well. So Ea is another name for Enki, who's a deity of magic, of knowledge, of science, of sex, of semen, etc. from Mesopotamia, who's often associated with Sumer. And the Sumerians are the fixation of a bunch of occultists, whites, Jewish, LGBT occultists, New Age people, what have you. And those people often talk about the Nazi occult with Enki and the Sumerians, and they often talk about Madame Blavatsky and some Jewish occultists as well, and they also often talk about Nikola Tesla, who looks a lot like some kind of, a lot of Jews look, right? A lot of these Jews who are shaped like that size, somewhat that shape of face. You might even be a Jew, I don't know. But anyway, so earlier I made a video, before I went to the store, about this weird kind of object that was left on the counter where my parents used to leave, medicine, a medicine box, what have you. And it's shaped, we'll just say it's shaped like, we might say it's shaped like a vagina or the other side of the body that gays, like, and so on and so forth. And it's not a coincidence, right? So now you see an example of the gay harassment that's done covertly, okay? And as you see time and time again, yesterday, for example, there were so many things that occurred at the same time, okay? There was I forgot to put that damn video of the protest in downtown Morgan Hill, and they had a sign that said "No Kings" and so on. And then somebody pulls up next to me, and on their SUV, there's a crown on it, and that's pretty rare, right? How often do you see a picture of a crown on a vehicle? Okay, and so shortly afterwards, there was that, and we see this happening so often. If you look at it in life, you know that these kind of coincidences don't happen that much. Okay, you don't see coincidence after coincidence after coincidence, every single day. And so it's obviously part of a psychological operation. And there's there's 23 witnesses to the psychological operation against me, including witnesses to the poisoning and the fuming, etc. Incidentally, during the open house yesterday, which was from 12 to 2 at my house, they put some other fume in the air that was in some ways more potent. In some ways I felt like I was more in touch with fresh air, my brain functioning was functioning better, and in some ways it was worse, right? It made it harder for me to talk. And it's important to note that I get fumed all over the place, not just at home. And they did something, my parents have various projects that they undertake, and there's, I can't go too much into it because it's part of the corporation, right? And that I'm historically associated with that corporation on top of everything else. And so, to make a long story short, they do things that they were probably told to do by the state that, affect the air to some degree. And it's not on the realm possibility they might use that to try to cover up what they've been doing. But I think they sprayed something else yesterday to possibly cover up the air. However, they were talking about airing out the house and things of this nature before the open house. But whatever was sprayed there, continued all the way into this morning. So it was there for close to 24 hours in the air and so on and so forth. And I'd aired out the house after that, and it was still there. So it was something that was consistent with the gang stalking type of fumes that are very difficult to air out. You know, sometimes I'll have all 4 of my doors open in my car, all the windows down, leave my doors open for an hour. Okay, it'll be aired out a little bit, but when I close it and roll up the windows and try to make a video or something because they're fuming me outside, there'll be a lot of fumes on the inside. And it's consistent. Even if I just rolled up the windows because I'm driving and it's cold outside, in a situation like that, the fumes would still remain whether I'm being fumed from the outside or not. So there's that. And they do things like, they make it so I wake up with back pains and my bones start popping and my shape starts looking different. They do things like, make it so I drink less water, which seems to be, changing the shape of my face along with the fumes, which change the shape of my face, okay? Now, you can still tell it's me. If you look at me and compare me to the pictures I've had over the years, you can tell that it's me, and it's not somebody pretending to be me or something. But they also, when this person was beat up, his name was like Messiah, and his last name was something. His name was Messiah, first name on the news. By the police officers, 10 cops beat him to death in the prison. His name was Messiah something, and it was like Nay Twin or something, or Nay Twee or something like this. And scrambled, it was like and Twin. Okay. And while I was making the video, someone who looked like his twin rode by on a bicycle in Morgan Hill, which doesn't have very many black people, and he was black. And he's, has a pink bike or something. I took a picture of it and I put it in the video, and he was doing a wheelie. What are the odds of that? And it was coming around at the same time I was making that video. Of all the times I could have seen this guy, it was the moment I'm making that video. And you see a lot of, in the cover, there's the pink, which connects to the pink in the Safeway, and the pink and object that was in my house that's shaped the way I described earlier. Thank you. Lo and behold, after there was a protest over there on, I guess it's done in Monterey, where the person had a sign that said "No Kings" about Donald Trump. Here's this vehicle parked next to me, and I'm being filmed.